We received a napkin sketch, a pretty rough sketch of a lion, and it was on 1 foot. And basically it started from there. I'm Jim Burton. I'm a sculptor for Blue Rhino Studio. I use clay. I basically bend up a wire armature and try to get the gesture right and the proportions right, and then add clay to the top of that. Try to get an interesting gestures and still stay true to that lion on 1 foot. And then in this case, we're going to make it more of an artistic, modern interpretation of what a lion is, of what Rex is. With little bits of clay, you can change the gesture really quickly. You can change the expression really quickly. Typically at Blue Rhino Studio, we do a lot of realistic animals. It's our comfort zone, so when I approach a lion, I'll approach it as a realistic animal, try to get it as close as I can anatomically. But this stretches us. We want it to be more than that. We want it to have a strength in its form. We want it to be interesting as you walk around it. We want it to stand alone as a sculptural piece. We're really excited about the challenge. As soon as everybody was on board, we 3D scanned it, and then we had it milled out of foam at a larger scale, 25% scale. And that foam piece, we took that form and we refined it. And then we turn it over to the people who I think have a real challenge, and that's getting this giant sculpture to stand on 1 leg. Off to Piero.
Well, it was very casual. One day I walked into a foundry and I saw so many sculptures laying around, and I said, this is what I want to do. I'm Piero Mussi, owner of Artworks Foundry. I got an email from the San Diego Zoo. They had a little maquette, a small one, and they have a picture of that showing the size and the angle and everything, so everything was there. So from that picture, I started to do some calculation. First thought, I said, my God, I don't think it can be done. It will never stand. But I love the lion, I love everything. So right away, I called my structural engineer and I said, take a look at this. Do you think it can be done?
As soon as we saw Rex, we knew it was going to be a challenge because he's supported off a single paw and he's in a highly seismic zone in San Diego. Most times for a sculpture, the bronze itself is enough to support it. But in this case, he needed a skeleton, a spine and some ribs to be able to resist the seismic and the wind forces. The stainless steel ribs and skeleton are crucial because that bronze is only 3/16 of an inch thick, even though it probably looks thicker from the outside. And stainless steel is much stronger than bronze, so it's crucial to have the stainless steel.
We have a lot of weight towards the back and it's going very up high. And therefore, the counter lever of the weight is stressed down on the legs. And that's the very difficult thing.
His wrist is pretty small. So we couldn't find any off-the-shelf stainless steel piece that was strong enough to support him. So a custom piece had to be made.
So we cut 4 pieces and then start to weld it all together. So that took a long time and a very expert welder to do because everything depends on that structure. The thickness of that beam is 1.25 inches. So that's very heavy and very strong.
About maybe 150 pounds per foot of steel is inside Rex's front left paw. Rex also has a huge 16-foot square foundation that's buried 5 feet into the soil to balance him and make sure he doesn't fall over in a windstorm or an earthquake.
I have no doubt that that is going to work. Today we pour part of the mouth of the lion, and that actually Those are the last pieces, and then we are done with all the casting. Rex is 250 pieces. Now they are assembling it together. They're taking the pieces, they're putting it together. So when we put the pieces together, they have a registration that knows match. And then we start to tack it, weld it together. Even when you put it together, you have to be able to see that all the pieces line up and create the right form. And it keep going around until the whole thing goes together very nicely. The piece is so big, we were wondering how we're gonna get it out now. We were thinking maybe we have to cut some of the door, maybe we have to cut some of the feet off. We were able to actually get it out by twisting in a different way and lifting it. We made it to go through the door, even if it was wider than the door.
I'm Doug Benson, driver, Bill Signs Trucking, Lakeside, California. When we first got to the load site, we had to make sure that the dimensions all fell within the parameters of our permit. So the height, the width was okay, the length. You have a lot of preliminary measurements you have to take so that your permits are exact.
Well, there's a lot of emotion going through, you know. After all the work, to let it go, it's very hard. But in the same time, it's a joy to see it. This was a great challenge. Now it's ready for transportation. It's all wrapped up. It's in a cradle, strap it down, and then it's going to be a safe journey.
If not, we have to go up here and turn left on Carlson. Yeah, let's run check that real quick and make sure. Because I think if we go down here to the corner and turn right, that takes us over and puts us on the 80, right? The routing, a lot of it is determined by bridge heights, the size or the dimensions of the load. One of the detours that we had in Vallejo required CHP escort, so we put on another 15 miles or so to go around, went a little bit north to go south. Anything over 15 feet requires a front and a rear pilot. Those guys are invaluable. They help keep the traffic away. They watch for hazards that we can't always see. Wind plays a role in the fact that if it's blowing you side to side, it can upset your load or blow you lane to lane. In Ontario, we had a couple of tires blow out. We had to get the tires replaced. That stirred traffic up. Everybody had to stop and look. Created a traffic jam before it was due to start in that area. Cost us about an hour, hour and a half. We are just about to the end of the journey. We're at Rainbow Scales, north of San Diego. We're roughly an hour from the zoo and from our unload site. He stirs a lot of attention on the freeways. Definitely one of the most unique loads. People don't know what to think. You know, they see that big thing with its tail sticking out and it's all covered, so they don't know exactly what it is. It's definitely a fun load. Well, we're here. We made it to the world famous San Diego Zoo. We got it unloaded. Rex is here and ready to be finished, prepped, and installed.
It's been 2 years. I've been given bits of information, but I haven't seen where this is along the process until now, and I'm just completely and utterly blown away. We worked on it at a small scale, and I was worried about little small details, making sure that things were going to translate when it was made larger, and it's beyond. I got to unwrap the greatest gift. It was like Christmas today for me. As I walk around it, it's just interesting. The finish is interesting. It's everything that I'd hoped.
So it's installation day, and our first step is going to be actually taking Rex from our back gate storage area to the front plaza. That process is only traveling 1/8 of a mile, but it's going to take us about 20 minutes. Since we're traveling through residential areas, we've got to be careful for Rex not to be hitting power lines and to be safe on his journey. I'm Kambiz Marafshani, design manager for Rex's Roar. Seeing Rex coming down Zoo Drive was incredibly exciting. Having him turn the corner and seeing the San Diego Zoo logo right beside him, that was kind of a moment in history for all of us. The sun has finally gone down. Our next steps were to get Rex rigged up and slowly lift him up and make sure that he does not topple over. It was all unknown from there moving forward. Rex was many firsts for not just the San Diego Zoo, but for the Crane Company as well. In order to get Rex to the San Diego Zoo, we had to build a custom cradle out of square tube steel. He was essentially welded onto this cradle, so he's very secure, but it was finally time to cut him out. He doesn't have a center balance point, so what we had to do was actually bring in 2 cranes. One major large crane that was essentially there to hold the majority of Rex's weight, and then a smaller crane that was brought in to help us rotate Rex into his position. So we very deliberately designed Rex with a 12-bolt pattern, and it's a circular pattern which allowed us 30-degree increments to rotate Rex. We'd basically levitate Rex over his bolt pattern for a couple moments and just make sure that we felt good about his positioning. And we knew that once he was dropped actually on those bolts, he wasn't coming back up. I stood back without anybody around me and just kind of absorbed that moment. And I knew that when the sun came out, it was going to be even more spectacular. Rex was encased inside of a fabric cube, a kabuki drop. On a single cue, all the fabric drops all at once, unveiling Rex.
My name is Doug Myers, and I'm the CEO and President of San Diego Zoo Global. And welcome tonight. This is a very, very special occasion. About 100 years ago, 2 brothers were driving down 6th Avenue, and they heard a roar of a lion. And that lion is Rex. So ladies and gentlemen, tonight we awaken Rex with the help of Mark Krager Grosvenor and the Grosvenor family. And thank you so much. Okay, here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Rex's Roar is what inspired the San Diego Zoo over 100 years ago, and I'm confident it's going to inspire us moving forward into our next 100 years.